Hello, what is going on everyone? Thrive here with a brand new DLC speculation video, among which we will be taking a look at a future potential Central American themed DLC. Now there's a particular reason as to why we're doing Central America, and before we actually begin, I'd like to talk about a few things. First things first, my channel. I haven't been uploading a lot lately, and there's a few reasons as to why. Mostly school, plus some projects I've been working on. Also, I've just kind of been a little bit bored with the game. I think, just like everyone else, I am dying for some new content, and I guess we'll talk about that in a moment. But and also the coronavirus, which is one thing I want to talk about really quickly. So while this virus is basically a pandemic right now, or whatever it was called, but people are just freaking out, as I'm sure you all know, and it sucks, and I think it's a bit ridiculous because it's not the most deadliest thing in the world. Most people are going to be fine, and the amount of chaos that's being created from it, it's a little ridiculous. Now, understandably, caution, quarantining ourselves, and just in general staying healthy and clean is absolutely necessary. And right now, I'm in Central America for two reasons: one, to avoid the virus. I didn't have a choice in that, and three, I just said three. I'm sorry. Two, I'm on a trip I've been planning for a while, and so yeah, I'm at a resort. It's beautiful, and I've seen the wildlife on the mainland. It's gorgeous, and I want to make a video about it for potential Central American DLC. Now, with that all being said, I unfortunately will not be uploading any gameplay content this week, and that's primarily because I don't have my big computer with me. I'm just using my laptop to make this video, and it's not good enough to make gameplay content, and so I will just make simple videos like these for the week to come until I get back next week, and in which I will have weeks to come of no school and absolutely free time to just do a buttload of content. I'm going to try my best to make up for all the gameplay I have not been doing for the past few weeks, all in just a couple weeks, simply because I've traveled international, that, and also my school's closed down. So yeah, I will have a lot of content to come, but for now, just sticking with these kind of videos. If any news comes out this week, of course I will cover it. Even if like a whole DLC comes out this week, I can make simple videos about it. So just all simple for now, but eventually there will be a lot to come. So anyway, though, let's actually go ahead and begin with this brand new DLC speculation video. Alright, now on to the speculating, and as far as it goes, I'm primarily basing it on the first DLC we got for Planet Zoo, and most of Planet Coaster's DLCs. They've changed a lot over time. So basically, I'm looking at animals mostly, because they are the main selling point for what eventually is going to be all Planet Zoo DLCs, and building architectures. There could be a variety, well, usually it tends to be two, and that's basically the main things we need to look at. As far as that, other DLCs will contain things like new scenario maps to play on, but I'm not really going to touch upon that. We're primarily looking at animals, and we're also going to talk a bit about building architecture. And now, with that being said, we're going to start with animals, of course, because they are the main selling point. I've split the animals into three categories. The first category, we'll be taking a look at tank animals that would fit a Central American DLC, and then eventually our free-roaming animals that would fit the base game right now, so mammals, large reptiles, and ground-dwelling birds. And lastly, for a more fun approach, and we just have to imagine here a little bit, we're going to be taking a look at animals that would fit an Avian DLC. So I'll go through a few birds that would from Central America that would fit an Avian DLC, and yeah, and then we'll take a look at some amazing architecture from Central America, and we'll wrap up the video. So let's go ahead and begin and take a look at some tank animals that would fit a Central American DLC. Grand Cayman iguanas are endemic to the Grand Cayman Island, which is an island near Central America. So while they don't actually technically live on Central America, they live near it, as I said. And now, the game already has two iguanas, the green and lesser Antillean, and while we really don't need a third one, if I was going to have to get another iguana, it would be this one, because quite frankly, it's a very pretty lizard. Coral snakes are a very beautiful, dangerous, and misleading snake, as they are commonly mistaken for the king snake. They're found throughout North America and obviously down in Central America. Now, Planet Zoo already has a lot of snakes, and so I'm not desperate for any more, but the coral snake would make a great addition for a variety of reasons. As I said, their beauty and misleadingness is very different from other snakes, and I think would make a great addition, especially since they're much smaller than all the other snakes in the game. Only found from the bottom of Central America to the very top of South America, eyelash vipers are a very beautiful snake. Their scales are very interesting looking, and their size would make them different from every other snake species in the game. Now, it would be a bit of a challenge, I imagine, for Frontier to make compared to their other tank animals, but I think at the end of the day, an eyelash viper would be a great addition to Planet Zoo. Red-eyed tree frogs are one of the more surprising animal exclusions from the tank roster, and while I can understand it, I would very much indeed like to see them be added eventually. Their colors make them a very admirable species of amphibian, and compared to animals like the Lehm's poison frog and even the golden poison frog, they seem like they'd be very likely. One reason why they may have been excluded is their size, but still though, they're very popular throughout all of Central America and quite popular throughout all zoos. It's an animal that, in my opinion, would definitely need to be included eventually. Moving on to the second category of animals on this list, ocelots are one of the more popular types of Central and South American cats. One reason why that their inclusion would be great is mainly due to their size. The game is lacking majorly in small felines, and the ocelot would help this a lot. It is very common throughout zoos and captivity in general, and would be a great addition to any Central or South American DLC. While it may not be the most famous or common type of crocodilian, American crocodiles are very prevalent throughout Central America and would be great additions to a DLC like this. The game has a bit of a lack in crocodilians, and quite frankly, the American crocodile is a great candidate. Northern tamanduas are one of two types of tamanduas that range throughout both obviously Central and South America, but while at first may not ring a bell in terms of animal inclusion, it seems like an animal that Frontier would try to avoid, I believe they would make the game nicely. They are bigger than some of the smaller animals in the game, such as Chinese pangolins, but they would take that same kind of aardvark animation, but make it arboreal. It would definitely be a very unique animal inclusion, and I think would absolutely fit the game perfectly. I would pay money to have this in my zoos. Margays are a very interesting type of cat. While they are much smaller than an ocelot, they have that same physical look and color design, and even patterning design and range. So, rather more, I wouldn't see both cats making a DLC, but would prefer one over the other. Still though, Margays are an interesting choice as they're not very common in captivity, but I would say fit a DLC like this perfectly. The Jabiru stork is a very interesting type of stork I just learned about recently since visiting Central America, and would be an animal that I'd say fit the game nicely in a way where it surprises people, introduces them to a new animal, and based on Frontier's history of animal choices, it would definitely fit their criteria. Still though, Jabiru storks are quite beautiful with the black head, the red underside, and the obviously completely white body. White-nosed coatis would be a perfect example of a small yet arboreal animal inclusion. Their interesting look and very big population in captivity would justify their inclusion. I don't really believe they ever will, and that's quite frankly due to the fact that they're not super popular and are a bit more of a challenge, I imagine, to recreate. Still though, they have an amazing look and would fit the game, as are all the other animals in this list, perfectly. Jaguars are clearly the king or queen of Central and South America. It would fit any DLC like that as basically a no-brainer. We need jaguars on Planet Zoo and any DLC like this. I believe for some reason that Frontier is actually making them right now. For some reason every day I keep checking the news on Planet Zoo. I just expect to see a teaser for it. I don't know why. I guess I really want it that much, as I'm sure many people do. And everything I really want to say about it, I've already said before, as I keep bringing it up on my videos. It's only a matter of time, but when it does, I will be one happy camper. So now let's go ahead and move on to the third group of animals. King vultures are one of the largest species of vulture, and quite frankly, one of the more colorful ones. Scarlet macaws are one of the most famous birds of all time. They would fit both an Avian DLC, respectfully, and any South or Central American themed DLC. It's a bit of a no-brainer. Everything I just said about the scarlet macaw can pretty much be continued over to the blue and yellow macaw, as it's quite frankly another really famous species of bird, appearing in any DLC that I've mentioned in this video. The three-wattled bellbird is a very interesting looking species of bird that would quite frankly capture the attention of any guest in both Planet Zoo and in the real world in an aviary. I was quite surprised to learn that keel-billed toucans have such a small range, but are yet so famous in captivity and are a no-brainer for any of the DLCs I've mentioned in this video. A resplendent quetzal is a very interesting looking type of bird with quite frankly some truly beautiful colors. This is a bird that would, just like the three-billed wattled bellbird, would capture a lot of attention in a walkthrough aviary. Now I'm not too aware of its captivity formation, but I believe in any case Frontier would pick a type of bird like this. Now to wrap up this quick avian speculation, the crested caracara has a very interesting range. While it's found obviously throughout Central America, the only other place it can be found is Florida. I've seen them myself as I live in Florida, and they are very beautiful predatory birds. And now on to the second and last part of the video. We're going to be doing a quick speculation segment on some of the potential building architecture for the DLC. Now typically they're going to go with two, maybe just one type of building themes for a new DLC, and I picked out three that could potentially make it in. First things first is the Panama City building architecture. It's basically just like regular skyscraper architecture, be a bit more of a fancy side to Central America, but I wouldn't really say it'd fit it well, simply because I don't really think of cities when I think of Central America. Still though, it would be quite a surprise and would fit Frontier's surprising criteria, as they just like to do that kind of stuff. The other architecture that would fit the game, or fit this DLC nicely, would have to be just classic towns in Central America, usually more rustless, rural areas where buildings are quite frankly built from anything you can find. They're not particularly well kept or clean, but it's that Central American theme, and I could see some really cool building materials coming from this, like rustic old rusty roofs and really odd looking wood, maybe even colorful wood, walls that look like they've had paint added onto it just to make it look nicer, because quite frankly, as I said, the building in this kind of rural area of Central America is not very clean or appealing. Still though, it's its own theme, and I would not be surprised if they were to add something like this to make kind of like a dirty but beautiful, grubby kind of area to your zoo. And then lastly, as more of a fictional option, I have decided to pick the Mayan ruins or Mayan architecture. And the Mayans were a historical people of Central America, and they have these famous temples and pyramids that could be recreated in Planet Zoo, I believe, and I would love to see that. I think it'd be a very interesting building architecture theme. It would kind of fit Frontier's choices before to do this kind of oddness, like with in the Arctic Pack they did more of a bit more of an old forgot the word I'm looking for, but more old Canadian kind of theme. It's interesting, but it would fit what Frontier have chosen in the past, and I would love to see some kind of. I'm going to say I'd love to be able to build Mayan temples in our zoos, to kind of have like a Mayan themed area with animals found actually there in the Mayan jungle, which I don't even know if that's true. I just said that. Still though, it's all about speculation. Who knows for sure? This whole video is speculative. Animals could be anything. I imagine I picked at least a few species that we would get in a kind of DLC like this. And as far as building architecture goes, hopefully at least one of the three types of architecture I pointed out could make it in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As I said at the beginning of this video, I have have a lot of new gameplay on the way as soon as I get home. And last thing I want to say right now is that even though in the midst of all this negativity from the coronavirus, I have been made aware, a little aware of the future for Planet Zoo, and while I can't tell you, I'll let you know right now that there is some positivity to look forward to. Not in just Planet Zoo, but life in general. It's clear that the world's going to pull through this. I sure hope it does. I believe it will. People are tough. This world is tough, but we get through things. So, guys, for the last time, thank you all so much for watching this video. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Bye-bye.